Why is a state lawmaker's mugshot plastered on billboards around the city? The group behind it says they're exposing a cover-up. The lawmaker says they're making a story out of nothing. News 13's Alex Goldsmith got both sides. Alex?
Jess, those billboards go after a powerful state rep in the middle of a heated campaign. At its core, though, the attack centers around an elk. Yes, an elk.
It's a cheap political hatchet job.
This is about a legislator who didn't accept responsibility.
If you drove past this billboard, you might think a dangerous felon was asking for your vote. The truth? Not even close. It's paid for by Progress Now NM, a left-wing group. The mugshot is of House Republican leader Nate Gentry. But the case in question has nothing to do with the mugshot.
They're not being forthright in what actually happened.
It's about an elk hunt at a ranch near Raton nearly 2 years ago.
We saw an elk, and neither the guide nor I, the guide who had 40 years of guiding experience, saw any antlers.
Gentry had a permit to shoot antlerless elk, but
when we came up on the elk, we noticed that it had very small horns that weren't visible from far away.
That's a misdemeanor. According to a Game and Fish report, an officer met Gentry the next day. He asked the officer for a warning instead of a citation. Progress Now alleges he wanted special treatment.
In the report, she lists his occupation as a state legislator. He offered that to her.
I never once mentioned to anyone that I was in the House of Representatives. That didn't even come up.
Either way, the officer wrote him up.
In this case, the Game and Fish officer heard that very same testimony and wrote that in her own experience that she just didn't believe that he didn't know the rules.
Not exactly. In her report, the officer thanks Gentry for his honesty, but says, quote, "I believe a hunter would have seen the spike antlers if they had taken the appropriate amount of time before shooting." Ultimately, Gentry pled no contest, and after 30 days of good behavior, the charge was dismissed. Progress Now claims Gentry covered it all up.
And gets all the way to this point ready for the election and hasn't mentioned it yet.
Except he did, in a recent candidate questionnaire for the Albuquerque Journal.
In my 3 elections, Alex, I've been very honest with the voters about, what I've done in my past.
As we mentioned, that mugshot of Gentry is from a different case. It was from a 2002 arrest for aggravated DWI, a charge that was later dismissed. Back to you.
Okay, Alex, there's a reason Gentry is being targeted. If Republicans win the state house, which they haven't done since the 1950s, Gentry's name has come up as a candidate for House Speaker.